Very much, Kevin. And we are also working on a project that has been under wraps for 20 years. Everybody wanted it. It's been held up by New York. It's a pipeline that will bring down the energy prices in
the
New
Keystone
York
Pipeline's coming back. Yeah.
By 50, 60, 70%.
I was just speaking on that on the live earlier today, how we're getting our fucking Keystone Pipeline. I just made a video earlier about how he's got to get the workers back on that Keystone Pipeline. And look, he delivered. So thank you. If a Secret Service member got one of my videos to Trump to get him back on this cheap gas, thank you.
We'd rather not have to go eminent domain. We'll do that if we have to in New York, but
this motherfucker wants to get hit.
Do that. This again will bring down energy prices in New England by numbers that nobody can even believe. Probably 50, 60%,
I'll believe it.
Maybe even more.
You
than
did
that.
it. Trump's our man.
Pay energy because they have no energy. They use logs. They go out and they cut down.
Literally.
It's really a terrible situation. So we're going to get this done, and we can have it done once we start construction. We're looking at anywhere from 9 to 12 months, if you can believe it. It's going to go very rapidly. The other thing I'd like Doug to mention, the 635 million acres that Biden so viciously took out of our net worth. If you look at it from the standpoint of
yes, they did.
Company, you talk about net worth. They've destroyed our net worth. We're putting it back. We'll be back as of this afternoon. And Doug, did you mention that? All of the millions and millions of acres that he just handed back.
Yes, piece of shit.
The executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet. President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban, and that's been accomplished. So those are back on the U.S. balance sheet. The 625 million acres of offshore that was banned from further lease sales.
Hell yeah, we're going to be able to drill for oil again.
1/3 the size of the lower 48.
Good job, Trump.
It's back on there now. President Trump cares about the American people. He knows that these
yes, he does care about us, unlike Joe Biden's evil ass.
Bureaucrats from the prior administration, and we're going to make sure that we get a return on investment for the American people.
The amount of money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at it, balance sheet, it was incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, and he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres. Which
that's insane. Hear that acres amount?
That's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away, and fortunately...
Because Joe Biden's a bitch, that's why.
It wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything, and we did it in a, I think, very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was just a terrible thing to do. An unbelievable thing to do. Also, they mentioned dishwashers and sinks and showers and the whole thing. We're going to get rid of those restrictions. You have many places where they have water. They have so much water they don't know what to do with it. But people buy a house, they turn on the sink and water barely comes out. They take a shower, water barely comes out. And it's an unnecessary restriction. And basically, I think we were going to be going back to the Trump rule. We had it, and everybody was happy. And then these people came in and they restricted it again. So we're going back, and we'll get it approved by Congress. In addition, we'll get it approved by Congress. So for 4 years, it's good, but we're going to get it permanently taken care of. And again, very environmentally friendly. But we want to be able to, when somebody turns on a sink to wash their hands or presses the button for a dishwasher, and there's barely enough water there's no water.
Yeah.
And you know what they do? They press the button 10 times. They run it 10 times. So it ends up costing a lot more. So I know you're working on that, and where are we on that?
We're working closely with the Department of Energy with regards to rules that were enacted during the Biden administration.
Fuck Joe Biden.
We're overhauling the water sense standards that are there to update them for the American people, to bring down cost of living and combat inflation, and just pursue common sense.
Well, we have more oil and gas than anybody else in the world.
Yes, we do.
Opening up Anwar again, as you know, we got something. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. No president was able to do it. I got it. And the first week in office, the Biden administration terminated that. Anwar is the biggest site, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia. We don't know yet, but it's of that size or bigger. and we hit gold, and I call it liquid gold, but we hit gold, and they took, for whatever reason.
Oh my God!
And we're just ready to start utilizing it. This could take care of all of Asia, energy-wise.
And we could keep getting, now we could get our money back from Dubai and sell those motherfuckers oil.
Doing the pipeline going right into the ships. So they expressed tremendous interest. So did Prime Minister Modi of India. And just in closing, both Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister of Japan, both very good people. They said we couldn't make a deal. We couldn't get any energy. I mean, you wonder what was going on with our country. They couldn't make a deal to get any energy from the Biden administration. They just couldn't do it. There was nobody to deal with. They didn't know how to go about it. And they're very happy that we're here. But we're going to really benefit our taxpayers, and we're going to benefit our country. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a very big bill. This is really going to be energy dominant. We're going to be energy dominant like nobody else. And this doesn't even discuss all of the electricity that we're going to be producing for all of the AI plants. You know, they need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So you take all of our electricity that we have all over the country just for AI to do it right and to win that war, which we're leading by a lot because of what we've done over the last few weeks. We're leading by actually a lot. But if you take all of it, we have to double our electricity needs just for the AI, and that doesn't include the other technologies. So it's a real honor to sign this bill. We're going to also work on cafe standards. Lee, you're going to be doing that and make that whole situation, bring that back into reality, and I think very quickly, having to do with cars. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah, Trump. Good job. I'm happy.
No, but in 2 weeks we will have another one. Yesterday was very big. Reciprocal tariffs was very big. I explained to the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, very good man. His tariffs are very, very high. India's tariffs are among the highest. And I said, well, now, you know, we were very low. We were the lowest, but just about the highest. There are others as high, but not much higher. And I said, no, from now on, what we do is what you charge us, we charge you. It's very simple. So whatever you're charging us, you can go as high as you want. Whatever you charge us, we charge you. And I wouldn't say they were thrilled to hear that, but that's the way it is. Tariff, I told you, is a beautiful word. Fourth most beautiful. Yeah. BRICS, the BRICS nations, I think that's breaking up rapidly. We said that if they're going to go into anything to undermine the dollar, that includes China.
Good.
I don't even know that they're a member of BRICS, but they had a few nations get together to try and play cute. And I said we're going to put 100% tariff on every one of those nations. And
I hate anti-locks. I hate him.
At the mere thought of saying that,
Trump's getting our cheap gas back. That's what we're watching.
Sale. Now that would be a terrible thing for our country. It would be bad for the world. They wanted to undermine the dollar. 6 nations got together. They want to undermine the dollar. That didn't work out too well. Not going to happen.
Good.
And we're getting along with a lot of nations now. Frankly, there's a lot of respect for the United States. We have regained the respect that we should have, and but we've also done things to deserve it. I mean, we've freed up our country, and you're going to see this is basically energy dominance, and it's going to be environmentally clean, environmentally wonderful, and taxes will be very reasonable based on this. We're going to make more money than anybody's ever made with energy. We have more energy than anybody else, and it's clean energy, very clean, beautiful energy. We're lucky. We have it. I call it liquid gold under our feet, and we're going to utilize it. So this is a very big bill, and
hell yeah, that's what's up. We're going to get our cheap gas back.
Number one, man, in all of
that's why I love President Trump. Cheapest gas ever in my life.
Like him, Chris Wright.
And he's going to bring that back.
Doug actually made a tremendous fortune in technology, and he said, I'm going to run for the governorship of, he loves his state, of North Dakota. And he did, and he made it so energy powerful that I think you're more proficient in energy than technology, but what do I know? And this guy, everybody knows him, Sean. He's been, he's done a fast study on transportation, and he knows, he's learned a lot over the last few months. He's learned a lot. He's He's really been great.
I don't know if I'm driving in a lane.
One of the great companies, Cantor Fitzgerald.
Whoa, truck! Whoa, truck! This truck almost killed me.
Other than a few people left in Europe.
And ran me off the road, this fucking truck.
A bigger, better company. Cantor Fitzgerald is one of the most, absolutely one of the top companies on Wall Street, stocks, bonds, trading. And
Fucking jag off, running me off the road.
He literally watched the plane go into the building, right to the World Trade Center. Amazing story. That alone is an amazing story. He was delayed because his wife insisted that he finally, after years, take his child to school. So he took his child to school that one day, because normally he would have been in the building at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's that business, right? So you owe your wife a lot and your child a lot, right? But his wife insisted that he take his child to school. For 5 years he didn't do it. He was horrible. What kind of a father was he? Okay, I'll do it. And he was therefore
yours.
How do you sleep
was-
at night?
Just from my perspective. Do you have a low price again?
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions you can start implementing today. And
Drive
number
careful,
3
it's
is an
very
absolute
slippery
game
out,
changer.
everyone.
Number 1, the first step to
Especially if
tackling
you're
your
in a
credit
rear
card debt
wheel
is
drive
understanding
car.
how much debt you actually have and how long it could follow you around for if you're only making minimum payments or have fallen behind. Minimum payment.
and he was therefore driving down at 8:43, whatever the time was, down the West Side Highway, and he saw the plane go into the side of the building. He said, wow. And he occupied the top 3 floors of the World Trade Center.
And the only reason he wasn't in it was because he took his daughter to school that
You know what
day.
happened there? He lost 100% of the people in that, or his whole company was there. And he built his company step by step over years.
Man, that must have been
And
hard.
became bigger and stronger, and he gave a tremendous amount of the profit to the families of the people that died, which he
That was
didn't
good
have
of
to
him,
do.
whoever did that.
And now he's working with us. He did an incredible job.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Trump is a
anybody in
good
that
person to get
world,
on Team Trump.
they know Howard Lutnick very well, and I'm honored to have him running.
What's up,
Congress.
Shivity? How you
He's
doing? I just saw your
incredible.
comment.
He loves the country. And Lee was a great lawyer, a great congressman, very successful person, both as a lawyer and as a congressman, and knows a lot about the environment, cares about the environment, and we were lucky that I was very happy that he joined, and he was with me right from the beginning, always was with me, and I've always been with him. And Kevin Hassett, we know, everybody knows Kevin, and he's fantastic. And you and Lindsay, you and your team are incredible. The job you've done, we really appreciate. Thank Will. And the job you guys are doing is really fantastic. We're knocking this out. Brian, do you have a question?
What kind of piqued my interest is growing up on the Texas Gulf Coast, natural gas, the LNG that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What's the potential for like new jobs or growth in that
A lot.
area? I mean,
Huge.
that's part of the country, Southwest Louisiana, Southeast Texas. They depend on it.
I would say that potential is simply tremendous. 20 years ago, the United States was the biggest importer of natural gas in the world.
Disgusting.
And
When we
had
got our
natural
own.
gas prices 2 or 3 times higher than they are today.
Yeah.
But with
I
Shale
remember it.
Revolution and great entrepreneurs in Texas and Louisiana and across our great country, we are now today the largest net exporter of natural gas in the
Oh,
world.
I didn't know that.
And so much of the world is depending upon natural gas is the fastest growing energy source. Has been for 50 years.
That'd be an interesting
We were
engine, an engine that
driver
runs
of
on natural
And
gas.
because we stopped our ability to grow natural gas exports, both the Japanese government, the Indian government expressed great distress
maybe
about
it's
that.
your phone.
They're going to count on energy imports from the U.S. and we may just change our mind. So I think they're thrilled to see the actions of this president say America's open for business. Yes, we have the energy, we have the people.
I approve this message. Thumbs up.
Opportunities, not just in the oil and gas industry, but all those surrounding communities that are lifted up by that oil production here. And as we produce more production at scale, not only does it allow us to export, but it becomes more efficient and it helps us drive down the cost for our domestic consumers as well.
I know it would happen, so just let you
Thank you, Brian. And I will say this, that this all started 8 years ago when I got elected. We were doing this, not to the extent that we're doing it now, but we were doing this and we became number 1 in oil and gas by far.
Hey, what's
And
up,
we
buddy?
were number 3.
I'm almost
We
there.
were
You
number
gonna let me
4,
do
some
that?
would say. When I
Alright,
left,
cool,
we were
bud.
number 1 by a lot. And then they
Thanks.
pulled way back and the prices started going through the roof. And then they went back to my plan, but by that time the prices had already gone up, so they really disrupted it. But now we're going to take it to a new level. It's going to be amazing. And we're also, it's very powerful, clean coal. We have more coal than anybody. This is good, beautiful,
True,
clean
we
coal.
do.
And if you notice, China's opening up a coal plant
Every day.
Germany is now opening up a coal plant every 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Very powerful. It's probably the most powerful source of energy in terms of generation of electricity and other things. And we're going to utilize our good, clean, beautiful coal and oil and gas. We have more than anybody of
You're
everything.
way back there.
And we're going to take advantage of it. And I appreciate everybody
Right,
being here.
Amy.
Yeah, please.
Sir, about what's happening in Munich. Senator Roger Wicker shepherded Defense Secretary Hegseth through his confirmation. He got him through that process, and he had some tough words for him overseas. He said it was a rookie mistake.
Front-wheel drive cars are the best in the snow.
What would or would not happen as far as Ukraine's membership in NATO goes. And then
I haven't heard that. I mean, Roger's a very
Passing
good friend of
trucks.
mine, and Peter's
Passing a
obviously,
Tesla
he's doing
truck.
a great job. I haven't heard, let me look
Front-wheel
at, you
drive
tell me
car.
something. I have not heard of that.
I had is, were you aware of what Secretary Hegseth was going to say in his speech at NATO?
Generally speaking, yeah. Generally speaking, I mean, so I'll speak to Roger. I'll speak to Pete. I'll find out.
Energy Dominance Council, that is for all forms of energy, does that include?
All forms of energy, yeah.
And pipeline you mentioned, sir, is that Constitution pipeline in New York? Is that?
I believe so, yeah. That's what it is.
He's talking
And,
about the
they're
Keystone
trying to
Pipeline,
what it
too.
is. And what it means is for New York, upstate New York, and even everywhere in New York, also other states, but.
I'm excited. Trump's doing
New
good
England-
things for us,
and
America.
New England will now, I think will cut the energy prices, and big cuts in New York too, but cut the energy prices.
Trump's
literally.
doing good
We have
things
the
for we
permits.
the people.
We have permits that just about everything we need, a New York permit, and I would imagine they want it because their energy prices will come down so far. And it's a lot of jobs for New York. It's a great thing for New York. Everybody wants it.
Hey,
We'll be meeting with the various governors, Governor of New York, and the other
far?
governors too. And we can have it built in about 9 months, and let's say 1 year, but we can actually have it built in pretty close to 9 months.
about
It's all
you?
set. We have most of the permits, almost all of the permits.
Huh?
And on just your prioritizing energy dominant states, you also prioritize trade balance. The oil industry is a little worried about the steel tariffs. I mean, they put 20,000 feet steel in the ground at a well. How will you balance that? Is there a...
You're talking about steel and aluminum. So the steel, I saved the steel industry in my first term. by
Yes,
putting
you
on
did.
tariffs.
You did a
Because
lot
China
for
was
us.
Dumping massive amounts of steel. Others also, but mostly China. And I put very substantial, we took in $600 billion worth of tariffs from China. No other president's taken up, literally haven't gotten 10 cents from China, not 10 cents. And hundreds of billions of dollars came in.
Biden
from China.
has, though.
And they understand.
Biden's probably got good money from
but,
China.
The dumping stuff. And had I not done that, you wouldn't have one steel mill, I think I can say, not one steel mill operating in this country.
I
And
agree.
we need steel.
Yeah.
We need steel. I mean, there are some things you have to have, and steel is one of them for military.
And gas.
So,
You need to go get Trump. We need that cheap gas
I
back
think steel is
ASAP,
gonna be very
man.
strong. It's gonna be
Because
very
as soon as the
strong.
price
I
of
think
gas
it'll go
goes
back to
down,
being
that's going to
really
bring down the
powerful. We
price of
saved it.
everything else. Food,
I mean, we were talking
fucking
about
things
US
you
steel
buy.
last week.
Everything's going to go
US
down.
steel would have been
Except cars.
closed,
Cars
totally
values will
closed.
go
We
up
saved it.
because the gas will
and
be
now
cheaper
it's
to
going to
buy.
become, I think, very, very profitable. The tariffs are going to save a lot of industries.
Mr. President, just to follow up on this.
Yeah, go ahead, finish up.
If the Japanese company that's interested in U.S. steel wants to take a minority stake as opposed to full ownership, is
A
that
minority stake I wouldn't mind greatly, but what they're doing right now is they're going to be investors, and they're going to be investing in, I think, debt and various other things. But we didn't want to let U.S. Steel go to a foreign company.
Good.
U.S. Steel
We
was the
shouldn't.
greatest company in the world for a period of 15 years. It was, it was the big deal 80 years ago or so. And psychologically, we can't even think about letting that happen. But what is going to happen, and we've already seen it, you see it in the stock price, with the tariffs, U.S. Steel is going to be a real powerhouse again.
I can just follow up on Jackie's question about Munich. Vice President Vance's speech to the conference has ruffled quite a few feathers in Europe.
What did you say to ruffle them?
He was talking about the freedom of speech and migration in Europe. Do you believe that European leaders have a fundamentally different view of the world than this administration?
Well, I heard his speech. I
there's
can't
a
remember
tackle
what JP's
places.
speech was.
That guy's got good tackles. I don't know about
He
that
talked
guy.
about freedom of speech, and I think it's true in Europe. They're losing their wonderful right of freedom of speech. I see it. I mean, I thought he made a very good speech, actually, a very brilliant speech. Yeah. Europe has to be careful. And he talked about immigration. And Europe has a big immigration problem. Just take a look at what's happened with crime. Take a look at what's happening in various parts of Europe. I thought his speech was very well received, actually. I've heard very good remarks.
And with regards to Ukraine as well, yesterday you mentioned that you thought Ukraine's NATO aspirations were one of the main reasons that the war broke out. Who do you blame for the war, Ukraine or Russia?
Well, I think that there are a lot of people to blame. All I can say is very simply, if I were president, that war would never have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? The Middle East wouldn't be all blown up, and October 7th wouldn't have happened either. Those two areas, you wouldn't have inflation, you wouldn't have October 7th, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine fighting. None of those things would have happened if I were president. Yeah, please.
None of those things would have happened. He's right.
Howard, I'd say over the next, sometime, maybe around April 2nd. I would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious. No, literally, we had a plan for April 1st. I said, let's make it April 2nd. You know how much money that costs? That costs a lot of money just
I wish I could
day.
deactivate the anti-lock brakes on this shit. I hate
right?
anti-lock brakes, especially in the snow like this.
Prosecutor Eric Adams' case resigned today, saying anyone.
Oh, wait, we got a new comment. Remnant Truth. What state is this?
Well, I don't know about it.
It's in Chi-Town, Illinois.
But I would say this, that if they had a problem, and these are mostly people from the
That's
previous
Washington,
administration,
D.C.
you understand, so they weren't going to be there anyway. They were going to all
That's
be
President
gone.
Trump bringing back our cheap
If
got
they know on
You might have
Tuesday,
got
the
one
whole
word of one of my
you know, the
videos
whole
I made about he
country
needs to
is
get them
thinking,
Keystone
you come in and
pipelines
you
back
put
to work
new people in.
ASAP.
So when you say resign, they're going to be gone anyway. But I know nothing about the individual case. I know that they didn't feel it was much of a case. They also felt that it was unfair with the election. Look, I would know that better than anybody because I was weaponized more than any human being in the history probably of the world. And I won the election in a landslide, winning all 7 swing states, winning the popular vote and everything else, because the people got it. It was weaponized, and I was weaponized literally weeks before the election.
It was.
I think there's also something to be said. I read that. There's something to be said for what they were doing. It looked to me to be very political. But why did they bring this up like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it happened? You know, they just sat around and didn't complain. Then all of a sudden they complain, and they know they're all being dismissed anyway. So, you know, it's the way it is. That's called politics, I guess. Yeah, please.
Is that right? That's called politics, I guess.
Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Now, I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019.
I don't know what
Yeah, there's the best president we ever had. Making gas cheap again. They're going to get them Keystone Pipeline workers back to work.
I watched the last...
Hey, man, I think, you know how we got soldiers building the wall? I think we need to have a Trump, man. Hey, if someone working in the Trump organization that can get this video to Trump, man, tell him he needs to start on, you know, he's got the military people, them same military people. He needs to, okay, they got enough of that wall built. He needs to get them military people and rehire the original pipeline workers, rehire all of them, and have the military help to get that fucking Keystone Pipeline built within a few months. So you're going to rehire all the original workers that were building that Keystone Pipeline, and on top of that, You're going to take them people building the fence, take them away from there. Don't worry, that's good enough. And they need to help build that pipeline so we can get the job done and get our cheap gas. This guy probably can't drive in the snow. He got a fucking $50,000 car and he can't. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's a fucking Porsche 911. He's got a $100,000 car and he can't drive in the snow. $100,000 car and you can't drive it in the snow. You know, it costs more than a house, but you can't drive it in the snow.
People come out, and I looked at it before and an after picture. One guy was a big, strong, healthy guy. You could say he was a little bit overweight. He's not overweight
I thought
anymore.
this
He
was
looks
Elaine.
he just came out of the Holocaust. It looks like a Holocaust picture. I've looked at him for a long time, and they've been treated very badly. The young lady came out last week. Her hand was blown off. And literally, her hand was trying to stop a bullet that was headed for her face.
God damn.
Put up her hand, goes like this, and wiped out her fingers and bottom of her hand.
Oh my God, where was that?
I would take a different stance, but it depends. Look, it depends what Bibi's going to do. It depends what Israel's going to do. But and now I understand they've totally changed. Hamas has totally changed. They want to release hostages now again. But you have to see, this started by them saying, we're not going to release the hostages as we said we were. I said, good. You have till 12 o'clock on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 12 o'clock to do it. And we didn't hear anything. Then all of a sudden, 2 days ago, they said, no, we've decided we're going to release the hostages. But I actually think they should release all of the hostages. Remember,
I have no idea where the fucking lane is, but whatever.
As bad as they look. I mean, I don't like to say that, but
Their handle's
they look
really
real
good in the
bad.
snow.
4 days ago, 5 days ago when I saw it. And the young ladies that came out were treated really badly. You don't know what happened, but I do. They were treated really badly. But as bad as they look, the ones that follow probably will look. I think they're sending out their most help. And they've been hit hard on that, Hamas. So they probably want to release. But they changed their mind. I said 12 o'clock tomorrow. 2 days ago, yesterday, they said they're going back to releasing. But this all started by them saying, we are not going to release any more hostages. And then yesterday they said they are going to release the hostages. But I think they should release all of the hostages.
Oh, we all know that. That's what they should do. I don't think that's what they're going to do, though, President Trump. Trump, I need you to get these oil prices down. Back onto the subject of oil prices.
75,000 more than we would have had. And nobody knows what that final number is. Because in the end, I think a lot of people aren't going to show up to work. A lot of people, they got used to staying home and quote, working.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had other jobs or other things. They have a lot of problems with that. No, 75,000 is a lot of people. And we paid them well. We gave them about a month's of severance pay, we called it that. But no, I think we'll probably have some more in addition. It's a big, tremendous saving for them. We want to downsize government, but make it better.
Someone like this, make sure you keep a good distance between you and the car in front of you, because, you're going to slide. Stop it.
I just signed a letter to them. He asked for a meeting.
Don't ride people's ass when the weather's like this.
We have a lot of good things going on. But
it takes you way further to stop, especially if you can't disable their fucking anti-lock braking systems. I'm gonna figure out where that anti-lock braking wire is on this car and just snip it and fucking cut that shit. There's gotta be a way just to disable the anti-lock and nothing else. Because the fuse is connected to something else and I don't want it disabled.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Get them gas prices down, President Trump. We need them cheap gases back ASAP, man. You gotta get you got people building the fence, the National Guard troops building the fence. They did enough work there. We need to get them on a plane, and we need to get them over to where they could start on the U.S. side, and then the original Keystone pipelines. Fuck it. I don't know where they all live, if they're still living there, but if they want the job jack, get every single original Keystone pipeline back to work. They're doing the pipeline, get their contract back, whatever they had set up. And if they don't want to return, then find some new people to replace the other ones that don't want to return. And get them fucking Army, fucking National Guard people building the fence Get them out of there right now and get them over to that pipeline because we need that cheap gas, Trump. We got to get that pipeline done, man. Joe Biden put us way back. That pipeline should already have been done. But Joe Biden stopped that shit. And ain't gas get expensive as hell. Trump, man, we need you to get on. We need to put our National Guard troops over on building that pipeline. And there you go. They're getting agreed to be an engineer too. So you join the Army, join the National Guard, and you're learning how to be an engineer at the same damn time. It's a win-win. What's this? Like, subscribe, share, by the way, a thumbs up.
You stop driving at night because of vision problems? Try this simple ice hack with water before bed and watch your vision go from this to this.
35 million acres that Biden so viciously took out of our net worth. If you look at it from the standpoint of a company, you talk about net worth. They've destroyed our
they're
net
replaying
worth.
this. The second
We're
time.
putting it back. And he talked about immigration. And Europe has a big immigration problem. Just like
Was that where he's talking about the gas?
the balance sheet is incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres, which if you sit down and look at something, that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away. And fortunately, it wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything. And we did it I think very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was just a terrible thing to do. Unbelievable thing to do. Also, they mentioned dishwashers and sinks and showers and the whole thing. We're going to get rid of those restrictions. You have many places where they have water. They have so much water they don't know what to do with it. When people buy a house, they turn on the sink and water barely comes out. They take a shower, water barely comes out. And it's an unnecessary restriction. And basically, I think we were going to be going back to the...
I hear we're talking about the gas again.
So, the nanny state. You're feeling the end of the nanny state. From straws made of paper to regulation endlessly harming Americans and holding us back. It slows down our production and manufacturing, which we were talking about with the Prime Minister of India yesterday. You're hearing that about energy dominance. It's going to go away. We're going to care about Americans. The Trump administration and this president cares about Americans, and you're going to feel it change. You're going to feel the price of energy coming down. You're going to feel prices coming down. You're going to feel an explosion. The golden age of manufacturing of America has always been there. It's just been stifled by regulation, and that time is over.
Mr. President, I just want to say that you've built such an incredible team, and Secretary and Chairman Burgum, he's been working on this his whole life. And so what I expect you to see, sir, is action as early as next week that is going to shock people about how good it is for Americans. And so thank you for your leadership.
I hope I want him to shock me with the fucking getting them Keystone Pipeline workers building that fucking shit and making some more oil drill wells to get that oil up that we got more of than Saudi Arabia and all those countries surrounding that country combined.
Energy prices in New York and in all of New England by 50, 60, 70%. It should have been done years ago. We'll be speaking to New York, and New York is actually the biggest beneficiary because their energy costs are very high. This will reduce them very substantially. But all of the governors want this to happen, and I think it's going to happen. It's now going to happen. It's something that's would rather not have to go eminent domain. We'll do that if we have to in New York, but hopefully we won't have to do that. This again will bring down energy prices in New England by numbers that nobody can even believe, probably 50, 60%, maybe even more than that. A lot of them don't even pay energy because they have no energy. They use logs. They go out and they cut down a tree. It's really a terrible situation. So we're going to get this done, and we can have it done once we start construction. We're looking at anywhere from 9 to 12 months, if you can believe it. It's going to go very rapidly. The other thing I'd like Doug to
I slammed
mention,
to the side
the
there.
635 million acres that Biden so viciously took out of our net worth. If you look at it from the standpoint of a company, you talk about net worth. They've destroyed our net worth. We're putting it back. It will be back as of
a hard hill to
this
get up.
afternoon. Doug, would you mention that? All of the millions and millions of acres that he just
Going
handed
downhill is dangerous,
back.
but you can slide.
Yes, the executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet. President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban, and that's been accomplished. So those are back on the U.S. balance sheet. The 625 million acres of offshore that was banned from further lease sales.
Further anything.
And 625 million acres is 1/3 the size of the lower 48 that was taken off our balance sheet. It's back on there now. President Trump cares about the American people. He knows that these public lands belong to the public. They don't belong to Washington bureaucrats or the prior administration. And we're going to make sure that we get a return on investment.
The amount of money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at the balance sheet, it was incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres, which if you sit down and look, it's like, that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away, and fortunately,
Fuck Joe Biden, he's a
it
bitch.
wasn't done with an act of Congress.
I like what you're talking now, Trump. Want some milk?
I think very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back.
I need you to
as
get
part
that
of our
cheap
country.
gas
What
down,
they
so
did
drink
was
as much as you need, man.
Just
Drink your
incredible.
spinach so we can get that cheap
Unbelievable
gas.
thing to do. Also, they mentioned dishwashers and sinks and showers and the whole thing.
But we got to get that
we're gonna
Keystone
rid of those
Pipeline. Was the part we was
restrictions.
talking
Do you have
about the
any
Keystone Pipeline. That was
To be able to serve together in partnership to unleash
energy emergency in terms of electricity. Too much intermittent, unreliable, not enough baseload. We've been shutting down the baseload that we have. President Trump is going to reverse that, and it's going to allow us to win the AI arms race, which is the most important thing that we have to do.
I think we got to chill out on that AI. Nobody's
So
seen
with
the
that,
movie
I want to say
Terminator.
again, thank you to President Trump. I want
iRobot
to thank
did
my
it on well
fellow
for us
members of the
humans.
Energy Council here. I'm going to kick it over to the Vice Chair, Chris Wright, who's the Secretary of the Department of Energy.
Thank you, Secretary Burgum. Today is truly a great day for our country today. And Secretary Burgum laid out so many of the problems the last 4 years. If you put barriers in front of energy, you make it more expensive, you make it less reliable, you make it harder to do business here, and harder for our consumers to pay their
21
bills.
degrees out.
With this fantastic action from our president, we now have authority across the government to lean in to fix these problems. And I'll start out with one specific right away. This morning, I signed our first LNG export license, unpausing the pause in action. The Commonwealth LNG project that'll be on the Gulf Coast in Louisiana is now officially ready to go. This will be a large construction project for American workers. It'll draw
Right here,
demand for
talking about
more
Keystone
American
Pipeline.
energy production that'll be shipped overseas to our allies. Many more of those to come. We're also working aggressively to roll back standards that have made appliances more expensive for Americans. And dishwashers that take 2 hours long and don't get your dishes clean. Nobody likes that. That's about standing in the
I don't
way.
like that.
And with this president,
laundry
President Trump
machines
and our
are
new
doing that
National
too.
Energy Dominance Council, there's so many things we can do to make American lives better, bring down costs and grow opportunities. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to a fellow member of the council, our administrator of the EP.
We've changed each other. Really good. Very much so. The best thing about Lena is she's just always made me feel so important and loved, so
This first executive order, it prohibits federal funding for COVID-19 mandates, vaccine mandates in schools.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
that
That's a
will
good one.
mean,
That was in the beginning of the
They want
video.
to clear that up,
Yeah.
the discrepancy.
So any schools that require students to be vaccinated with COVID-19 shot, then there's no more federal funding. So.
Good.
Okay.
I like that. It was right after he said this when I think I clicked on I lost the video, but the first thing I saw, it was right after he signed this where he started talking about getting the Keystone Pipeline workers back to work.
Okay,
And
that
opening up
solves
the
that
oil
problem.
for us to drill our own, instead of fucking buying it from Dubai and giving them all of our money so they
Yes,
can build
it'll go through the
skyscrapers that are
Department of
taller than any building in the world. Now we'll be able to do that.
This first executive order,
With our oil.
it prohibits federal funding for COVID-19 mandates, vaccine mandates in schools.
And we'll get our gas cards back. We're supposed to be bringing back the Camaro soon. Did you see that? There's going to be a fucking, it's going to look like the 87 Camaro, but futuristic.
Require students to be vaccinated with COVID-19 shot, then there's no more federal funding, so.
Okay.
I like it. I gotta watch that though. I want to say this. Right after that, he was talking about the oil.
Well, this is the first 20 boxes of albums. You ready to start Operation Autograph all of the albums, babe?
Appreciate it, you guys. But they think I'm a big joke. It's like they don't support my plan to do everything the same or worse as the last 4 years.
Well, would it make you feel better if we burned down a ballot box?
No, I don't think it will this time.
Ah, just show her. All right, then. Come on in, Francisco. Kamala, this is our new state-of-the-art Dominican vote machine.
What does it do?
I'm glad you asked. You see, Francisco sits in a hot room and fills out thousands of ballots a day using different names. All for you.
So you're saying I have voted?
Sort of. Let's just say you have lots of pretend people who support you. Yep. Since they'll be counting the votes for a while, we
What's up?
can have this Dominican vote machine running all week.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
I'm glad. Now, how about we go give money to Ukraine?
How much money?
As much as you want, sweetheart.
Get it, you guys. But they think I'm a big joke. It's like they don't support my plan.
Oh, Puff, I'm with you. Maybe there's a way to get me pardoned without speaking to the president. Do you know the former chancellor of Germany? Tiny mustache, comb over, possibly started the hol-
Where was that?
Like they don't support my plan to do everything the same or worse as the last 4 years.
Or would it make you feel better if we burned down a ballot box?
No, I don't think it will this time.
Ah, just show her. All right, then. Come on in, Francisco. Kamala, this is our new state-of-the-art Dominican vote machine.
What does it do?
I'm glad you asked. You see, Francisco sits in a hot room and fills out thousands of ballots a day using different names. All for you.
So you saying
No comments?
I have voted?
Sort of.
Yo,
Let's just say
can't
you
drill
have lots of pretend.
your cheaper gas. It's a global market. Doesn't matter how much we drill. Smarten up then. Yeah, it does matter because once we get that Keystone Pipeline, it will be supplying more of our own oil. It does matter. You think Dubai's paying fucking, they're paying fucking pennies fucking on the dollar fucking for their oil. Just like fucking, we will be.